gigantic companies like SAIC and Northrop Grumman moving their headquarters from California to the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And you know that with that comes not only thousands of workers and thousands of people whose job it is to secure contracts to do government work, but also the vast infrastructure that is required in order to secure the secrets and to do all of those things that are necessary in order to be in this hidden world. And so more and more is being concentrated in Washington, and that's undeniable. We show it very clearly in our series, and the data really backs it up. And I think it's probably part of why there's such an enormous groundswell throughout the United States that is so anti-Washington these days.
Bill Arkin, what's a super user?
Well, what we discovered in the course of our investigation is that not only are there top secrets, but there are various compartments above the level of top secret which are utilized by each of the intelligence agencies and the military commands to compartment what they do, and intrinsically that's supposed to be to protect information, but in reality what it does is it keeps programs from being revealed to other agencies. And in theory, above it all is supposed to be the Director of National Intelligence, an office created in 2004 to finally solve the problems of 9/11. But what we found was that even the Director of National Intelligence and even the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, the top intelligence official in the government, that they don't have full visibility on each other's programs, and they don't have full visibility on everything even within their own agency. And there's this thing called super users, people who are designated specially, who have the ability to reach into all of the programs of all of the government. They actually have special logins, they actually have special computers, and there's only a few dozen of them as far as we can determine throughout the entire government, only a half dozen or so in the Defense Department and only a half dozen in the Directorate of National Intelligence. And we've spoken to some of those super users who themselves say, I don't have enough hours in the day to look at all the programs of the U.S. government. I don't have enough time to read all of the material that I am authorized to read. And so you can really see in a very vivid way the dysfunction of government through this little anecdote.
Bill Arkin, talk about the warning, the letter that was sent around to the intelligence community from Art House, and explain who he is, warning them of this series of pieces that you and Dana Priest are doing.
Well, let me just make it clear, Amy, we've been working on this for 2 years. We've been engaged in interviewing people from the government and inside this world for 2 years. We've conducted over 1,000 interviews, talked to hundreds of people, many multiple times. They were well aware of what we were doing, and we formally briefed them about this earlier this year. So for them to come out at the 11th hour and somehow say that they are alarmed by what we're going to put out, to me seems to be classic cover your ass. I can't take it in any other way, because we ourselves have gone through a massive internal review process, both fact-checking and also looking at anything that could be detrimental to the national security interest and to the national interest. And I'm completely confident that we've done a rigorous job. I'm completely confident through the use of numerous outside counsels at the Washington Post, people who are insiders to the system, helping us to make sure that we were able to produce the most granular picture we possibly could of this gigantic organization, but yet at the same time not put anybody's life at risk. And I have to say, at this point, I feel like the Washington Post has a better understanding of this overall problem than the government does.
What is it they did not want you to print, Bill?
Well, they always don't want you to do whatever it is that's going to bring them, that's going to disrupt their day. The government, we asked them repeatedly to give us specifics, to tell us what it is that they didn't want us to show. And only one government agency was actually able to come back to us and specifically explain to us why they didn't want us to reveal something, and they made a reasonable argument to the editors, and the editors decided that we wouldn't. This is such a rich area that we felt that really to diminish it by somehow not looking at these requests from the government seriously was a mistake. We're giving you information on 1,931 corporations, on 1,271 government entities across 45 different departments and agencies. I mean, this is an enormous amount of information, and Secretary Gates himself said to us in an interview that he can't even get this type of information about his own office and who contracts all of the contractors within his own office. People recognize that this is a problem, and I think that the Washington Post should really be given an enormous amount of credit for putting the resources into this over a 2-year period in order to present something that I hope will be the foundation of a new national debate about this whole question.
Bill Arkin, what's Liberty Crossing?
Liberty Crossing is the name, the nickname, for the new complex of buildings that has gone up in McLean, Virginia, that is home to the Director of National Intelligence, the CIA's National Counterterrorism Center, other counterterrorism task forces, and the National Counterproliferation Center. We highlight the buildings around Washington that have been created since 9/11 because we thought that it was a very tangible representation of government. It's often hard to really talk about government in terms of money because the billions after a while begin to just glaze over. But we thought, you know, our approach was going to be, we know that everything that happens somewhere, and we're going to find out where it happens. And lo and behold, as we began to map this alternative geography of America, one of the things that we discovered was that these guys have been on a fabulous building spree since 9/11. There have been over 33 buildings in the Washington, D.C. area alone, encompassing 17 million square feet, which is 4 times the size of the Pentagon, and there are more underway. The NSA and others are building and planning to build even more office space. So the reality is that I think in my research I found that there was only one civilian agency that's had the privilege of building a new headquarters since 9/11 in Washington, and that's the Department of Transportation. But this is a very tangible way of seeing this in your backyard, in reality, in a real physical location. And one of the phenomena that is also associated with 9/11 is that these locations, like Liberty Crossing, are undisclosed locations, meaning you can't look them up in a phone book. It has a cover address. It's not publicly bragged about in terms of where it is, although it's obvious where it is to anyone who goes by. And that in itself is sort of an odd manufacture from 9/11, which is that these government agencies on their own, with really no consideration of national security, can just decide what's going to be disclosed, what's going to be undisclosed. And as far as I can see, it's random to the agency and its power, and it has nothing to actually do with the security of the buildings or the people who work inside them.
The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the new $1.8 billion headquarters, the 4th largest federal building in the area, in Springfield, right near Dulles Airport?
No, in Springfield, Virginia, it's down south near Fort Belvoir. This is a gigantic facility that's going up right now. It's going to house 8,500 workers of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. I mean, they are going to leave their older buildings that are scattered throughout Washington, but you know what? They're going to be in well-appointed offices, and they'll be in one facility in Washington, and they will obviously, I assume, be able to do their work better. But it's just one of many. It's just one of many agencies that probably most